Here, like people take a lot more risks. Like there's a lot more risky players that people make in
Yeah.
this scene, and in the scrims, like some of the stuff I've seen is crazy. His comms were really good. Mechanically, he was also like okay. Couldn't really see too much because it was like 150 ping, 140 ping.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we had to like take a bit of a gamble. Like he had no experience as well. There was like in terms of the in-game stuff, like the strategy side of thing was non-existent basically. Sultan, he'd never had that before as well.
Yeah.
And I'd put it on like a Google document, and he was always asking like, "Okay, what slide number is it? What slide?" And then we call like a specific strat. What slide number is that? Like I was constantly like, "Rossi, that's enough." Mike's a great. Sorry about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I have got the privilege of talking to a person who has quite literally changed the fate of a team that has just won the VCL South Asia Split 2. The most important part of their year so far. And the man I'm sitting and talking to right now has clearly had a hand to play in their victory. So please welcome Fields, aka Mr. Sam Greenfield. Thank you so much for your time, Fields.
It's
This
okay.
is a
Thank
great
you.
opportunity for me. Fields, before we start off this, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where exactly are you from for the viewers to know?
Yeah. So I'm from England, London, to be specific, and yeah, lived there my whole life. In terms of like background, I was always quite sporty as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
Played a lot of football, tennis, squash. Not really cricket, unfortunately. But yeah, pretty much every other sport I was quite good. I was quite decent at. Wasn't great at like the mechanical side of things, but I was very quick at adapting and picking up on strats, and that was like more fun for me actually to learn that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
I kind of just went straight into coaching at like 17, 16, 17, 18, like something around that age. I don't remember exactly in Overwatch. And I was coaching like tier two team in Overwatch for about a year. Um, and yeah, I was actually coaching like multiple teams at the same time. I was coaching a European team and a Australian team actually. So I was doing like evening times coaching Europe, and then in the morning I was coaching Australian team, and then in the day I was going uni. So it
Wow.
was like full on, but
Quite
that's
the
kind of
quite the filled schedule for there
like
for you.
yeah, very full actually. And it wasn't the smartest decision to be honest. Like I couldn't really do anything else apart from that, but it helped me, I guess, develop a bit. I don't know, my brain wise, I think I'm a bit more mature than my age.
Fair enough.
But yeah, like I didn't really have the desire to really like grind the game so much. I was more like I enjoyed watching more and like learning
Yeah.
more about that sort of stuff. So I guess if people enjoy that side of the game more, then like why not? You know,
Fair.
doesn't matter really that you're younger. You just have more time to learn the experience.
Fair enough.
Um, yeah,
You have gone through so much in terms of coaching itself. You've gone through a lot of different styles. You've
yeah.
seen teams play different ways, and you've got a certain style as well. But can you tell me, as we come into what is the current scenario at hand, what is the biggest difference that you've seen between the European players and the players that you're coaching right now in India, or in just general everybody in India? What's the biggest difference that you've noticed between the two regions?
Yeah, yeah, it's funny actually because like everyone said to me when I first came, like, "Oh, what do you think of the difference?" Like, and before I thought like, how can there be that much of a difference? It's just like Valorant's Valorant, right?
Yeah.
But there is actually like quite a big difference I did notice in like the players in Europe. They're a lot more like slower, I would say, a lot slower play style. They want to take like the highest percentage chance of winning the round basically. Like if there's a bad play, they
Yeah.
or a low percentage chance play, they won't really take that risk.
Yeah.
They always go for like the highest percentage chance play. Like that's how they're kind of taught to be like more disciplined. Here, like people take a lot more risks. Like there's a lot more risky players that people make in
Yeah.
this scene, and in the scrims, like some of the stuff I've seen is crazy. Of
Mm.
like what teams are doing. I just like, yeah, it blows my mind sometimes that they practice like that. But
Mm.
in terms of like the players we got here, I think we have like a decent mix of that stuff. To be honest, that was like one of the main things I said when I was first like coming into the team. Like when I first trialed with everyone, I said like my style basically of what I like to do is I like to have like a
Yeah.
structured background,
Mm.
but then give players some freedom to make some individual decisions. So it's like you have this to fall back on,
Yeah.
but don't do it like
All the
all the
time.
time.
Yeah.
You know, like don't be like a robot. You have to
Got it.
take some risks sometimes and play your game, but this is like the set stuff which we're gonna follow.
Got it.
And yeah, that's kind of like the philosophy I went with, and everyone kind of just jumped on board with that, and they were fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a little bit of like teaming problems at the start with some people, but everyone kind of like meshed into it
Yeah.
really well.
Worked out towards in the end.
Yeah,
The change in style, did it affect you? Like, were you a little taken aback by it? Did you have to like kind of adjust into it, or was it, kind of comfort level that you wanted the players that you kind of were looking for?
yeah, I think it was pretty comfortable. Like, I don't like super hard enforce the specifics.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like the specifics is kind of down to them. And then we do like one-on-ones on stuff to try and like refine it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And like, is this really like the best play in this moment? And then we come to like conclusion, like just trying to make them work through it in their mind of like, was this actually like the best play? Probably
Hmm.
not. What could we have done differently?
Yeah.
Okay, now next time, like let's try and implement that. And like working through that process, it was fine, to be honest. Like it was pretty smooth. Everyone kind of gelled really well, which is quite lucky. I think everyone came in with like open arms, like yeah, we'll embrace everything that you're gonna say, like treat it like gospel. It
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like that, and that helped a lot, to be honest. Like the trust from everyone just like gave me more confidence in what I was doing as well.
Yeah. So, from the beginning of this season, first of all, the fact that this team was made, I'm pretty sure you know that the history that they were made just probably a day or two before the actual tournament started.
Yeah,
They got in Severine, they got in DOS, they had that whole first split where they went unbeaten in the group stage,
yeah,
but lands were where they were struggling, right? So in your mind, have you watched those games first of all, the split one games of this team?
no,
No. So you focused on what was on hand itself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So let me tell you what we've seen, right? So there was a problem that everybody was saying that Revenant was very individually more focused as a team rather than playing as a team itself. When
yeah,
they had that team, you'd say building coming up, right? When they were playing more like a team, Severine took his exit from the scene and Sultan had to come in, and that became a whole thing. So, how did you manage with not having an IGL, set IGL skills having been promoted to that? Like, what was your first interaction with the team? Like, what, like in terms of gameplay, what did you tell them?
yeah. Well, I first came into the team like just before the Cup 2 LAN.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't really do anything in that short amount of time. We just had like a little stuff to talk about. I couldn't go to the LAN as well.
Yeah.
So it was just like basically starting from the next split. And then Mike left, and I was like, whoa, we got like 2 days to find one player now.
Yeah.
We don't have an IGL. It's changing like a lot. But Skills came to me, like he said, like, yeah, I feel like I'm ready to actually IGL now. I think I've got like the experience, and I could kind of see it a little bit from the way he was talking before. I
Mm-hmm.
think his style, like Mike's a great. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Mike's like a great leader, but I think Skills is calling like meshed better with me personally as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like we kind of clicked really quickly, um, and it kind of helped a lot. And then just he was new to calling, so I could have my influence more on him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Mike has his ways of calling; he's been doing it for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, that kind of helped as well with like skills just saying, yeah, I'm ready to do it, but I need your help basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, yeah, again, like we were putting in a lot of work actually. Like we were doing a lot of VOD reviewing and a lot of like um, talking about how you call specific things, how to play a proper default,
Yeah.
how to call in specific situations, and he was just like soaking it all up really well. Um, so yeah, it was a bit of like a nervous time, like when we were getting like Sultan in as well. He's like I'd never heard of him before.
Mm-hmm.
Dos just suggested him,
Yeah.
and then we're like, okay, we'll trial him for one day. He was on 130 ping or 140 ping, playing from Kazakhstan, and his comms were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Mechanically, he was also like okay. Couldn't really see too much because it was like 150 ping, 140 ping.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we had to like take a bit of a gamble. Like he had no experience as well.
Yeah.
We just had to take like a bit of a gamble and be like, okay, let's go. Let's just do it. You know, like
I mean, it paid off
yeah,
pretty well, to be honest. The gamble,
yeah, yeah,
he's been very impactful for your team as well.
yeah.
Um,
It's been insane. Yeah,
Speaking of impact itself, there had to be, like you said, with Severine leaving, there was a big change in the team. You guys had to create a team as quickly as possible. But in terms of the gameplay itself, what was the
mm.
biggest change that you had to make that you felt like, okay, you know what, this is going wrong. This is what we need to do. Was there something like that you told the team about?
Yeah, yeah. There was like in terms of the in-game stuff, like the strategy side of thing was non-existent
Mm.
basically. Like they had nothing to be honest. It was all just like kind of on the fly and just off mics calling.
Yeah.
And when I was watching the scrims, it was like he would call like a default, but then each time he called that default, people were in like different positions,
Yeah.
and everyone was like not really knowing like what do they have to do. So I kind of just like created like full game plans on the maps
Mm-hmm.
of like this is your set structure to begin the round with,
Yeah.
then you have the freedom again. Like this is just set structure to begin, then your freedom afterwards.
Got
So I
it.
just trying to make it like really clear, like how we start these rounds. I think the start of the round is super important a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it sets you up getting the information right, and then just repeating that over and over again in practice.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the main things we done. Like I just went through every single map, and I just got down all like the strats, start of the round stuff, some set plays, just all like the basics you kind of need to be able to play a map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we just like worked through all of that within the scrims. Yeah, and just like yeah, it was quite funny to begin with because like Sultan he'd never had that before as well,
Yeah.
and I'd put it on like a Google document, and he was always asking like, okay, what slide number is it? What slide? And then we call like a specific strat. What slide number is that? Like, I don't know, bro. Like it's the name of the strat. But yeah, he always wanted the slide number. He was always tabbing out, like looking at the slides and trying to
Mm.
remember it all. But it was like a big thing like that. It was quite funny actually. But yeah, everyone was like, again, like really bought into that,
Mm.
and it helped a lot.
There was one particular thing that a lot of people were also surprised by, because I had spoken to Rossi and Paradox right before the split started, right?
Yeah.
And back then they kind of slightly hinted to the fact that there were going to be role changes, probably because Rossi's going to be taking up the duelist, which he did. Was that a decision which involved you heavily? Did you call out that it needed to be done, or was that a team thing?
Yeah, I think that was the duelist thing was mainly me, to be honest. I think we'd spoke about it a little bit before. And I spoke with Abir about it as well, the
Mm.
manager,
Yeah.
and he kind of agreed that we should try and put Rossi onto duelist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's just like his comfort. And then the first time I put him on duelist in the scrim, like he was kind of just unleashed. It felt like
Yeah.
he was going back into like his prime days. It felt like a
Yeah.
bit, but like he again his operator is really good. So we just kind of like yeah go try this, and then Dos was also more comfortable in the other roles as well.
Yeah.
So we like put Dos onto Smoker or Sentinel, and yeah, like that was like the main biggest change that we did,
Mm-hmm.
and also just putting like skills on more of a consistent role as well. now he was IGLing on the initiators,
Mm.
and that suited him a lot better than just before. Yeah, like the roles were really weird for me
Mm.
before. It was like some maps Rossi was playing initiator, some map skills was playing it, some map skills was playing uh, sentinel, some map paradox was playing sentinel, some map
Yeah.
DOS was playing sentinel. Like it was just all over the place. It felt
Mm.
like, and just try to get a bit more consistency throughout like the roles and their play styles.
Yeah.
Like Rossi is our most aggressive player. DOS is probably like the clutch player and the more like calmer player. Paradox is like the full flex. Skills is the support. Sultan's the lurker.
Mm.
So it's like just put them guys onto them roles. You
Yeah,
know?
and then let them
Yeah.
flow into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But did like there was a thing that a lot of people believe. Although a lot of people love Rossi and the way he plays and the way he wields the op and stuff, sometimes there is a call that there's a shout that Rossi is a little too aggressive for his own good. He kind of overextends into fights that he really shouldn't be
Yeah.
participating in. Have you felt that happen in the last couple of games?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the scrims, that was like one of the biggest things we were talking about a lot with Rossi. Like, I was constantly like, Rossi, that's enough. Like the rule that I made for him now is like one kill is good, double
Mm-hmm.
kill is like perfect,
Mm-hmm.
three kills is you're doing too much. Like if you kill three people in a row, then you've done too much at that point. Like you're overextending. So like if he's getting two kills and then he's falling back, like
Yeah.
then I'm happy.
Mm.
Or if he gets one kill and he dies, like that's fine sometimes as well. But if he's killed two and then he's alive and he's going for the third, then that's like slap on the wrist. Like not good. But yeah,
Did you have problems with any other roles or players, for example? Like, I know that DOS, when he first came in, was a duelist, but before that, he was primarily a controller and a sentinel back when he was
yeah,
playing in Kazakh, right? So, him getting back to his comfort agent was, of course, good for, I think, the team itself. DOS became a more well rounded player. He didn't have to worry about taking the first fights in. But what about skills and Paradox? Because Paradox is such a, he's got a wide agent pool. Did you have trouble placing him in certain situations or certain maps, or was that like kind of, it came naturally between you and him?
yeah, it kind of as well was pretty smooth flowing. It was a bit like awkward sometimes with the roles,
Mm.
especially for him. Like he's moving around a lot, but
Yeah,
like we spoke a bit at the start, and we were asking like, I was asking him like, what is actually your comfort agent? Like what are you best at?
yeah.
And he said like this game is
The
my
game is my comfort. Yeah,
comfort.
that's his kind
So
of thing. That's thing he says everywhere in every interview.
yeah, this game is his comfort. So like he just went around with every agent. I think like the flex row is good for him. Like he's good with the stun agents. Like he's gotten a lot better with his like utility
Yeah.
supporting like the breach and the neon. And he's like good on these niche agents like that
Mm.
people aren't really usually that good at.
Yeah.
He seems to like pick it up quicker.
Speaking
So
of the
yeah,
neon itself, that was actually quite the surprise for me as well when you guys picked it up, right?
yeah,
But it worked brilliantly
yeah.
against Europe. It was absolutely amazing. Like, what was the philosophy going behind that? Now having no sentinel and was it just like, yeah, you know what, full send, we got this, like full speed, or was there like a proper set game plan that okay, we're gonna play at this pace, and like what was the thing behind the whole neon pick?
Yeah, when the patch first dropped, we weren't sure if the land was gonna be on this ISO neon patch or not.
Yeah,
But then we found out it was, and then we kind of like changed a lot of our comps actually to like try and incorporate them because I just thought they were super busted.
yeah.
And like if you weren't playing them, then it's kind of like a little bit of a troll to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was kind of the only tournament we could really do it on because then he's gonna get nerfed straight away afterwards.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
the the pick there, we practiced that comp on Sunset for like one day, I think it was. I like suggested it, and then Dust said he didn't like the ISO,
Yeah.
like he doesn't feel impactful.
Mm-hmm.
So we swapped to a different comp, and we were mainly playing that.
Yeah.
But then when we got to the LAN, I saw like the day we had off before the grand final, saw the comp that Troopers were playing on Sunset the day before
Mm-hmm.
with that jet and chamber.
Yeah.
I was like, we have to play that ISO Neon comp like it's gonna destroy them. Um, they actually changed it, but they still had the jet, and like their main goal of that comp is they want to play with operators, right? Like they want
Mm.
to get the chamber up, they want to get the jet operator, like set him up on an angle somewhere,
Yeah.
and then the ISO shield and the neon running in, stunning, like it's so hard to play operator against that. So we just decided like we're gonna we have to play this comp. Like it's a hard counter to them,
Yeah.
even though we had like 1 day of practice on it. And yeah, I mean we had strats on it and stuff. Like we had still had good strats. It just wasn't maybe as practiced as I would have liked it being, but
Yeah.
we kind of just got the momentum rolling, and from that point, with like a double duelist comp, ISO and Neon, like it snowballs really hard.
Mm.
So we got the momentum from the beginning, and it just snowballed like out of control. And I think they lost their mental as well. Like they didn't know what to do against it,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like another thing I noticed about this region is people struggle to adapt. It feels like so if you pull out something a bit different,
Yeah.
then they don't really know how to deal with it.
Mm.
Like the ISO and the Neon. Like to be honest, it's really new as well, so not many people know how to play against it. You have to
Yeah.
be pretty smart to actually adapt to it.
We do have that thing in our region where, it's very difficult for teams to move on to agents that might give a little bit more variety because they're so used to that, default compositions. Maybe a little bit of change in terms of making it double controller or maybe doing it double initiator, but they don't go beyond that. But I think that kind of, freshness that came in with Revenant on land was really, really nice to see because it
Yeah,
shows that we've got variety that can be exploited, but we are just afraid to, reach that stage. So that's a
yeah,
great thing that I think you implemented that I think, will hopefully give more teams a bit of reasoning to, maybe it's not so bad to pick up a double slide agent who can just, slide across the floor.
yeah.
But yeah. So coming to your opponents itself, right? Like I wanted to know a little bit about, first of all, have you watched VCL South Asia anytime before you came here? Like, had you ever heard of any players, anything?
Uh, I watched it a little bit when the Eccles and Doma
Doma,
were
yeah.
here
Mm-hmm.
with the VLT, I think it was.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of it then, but then in between that time period, I didn't watch it.
All right. So
Yeah,
when you came here and you understood that you've got certain opponents who are really good, the competition from last year has kind of changed. Like teams are beating each other and they're at the top. True Rippers were the favorites. Velocity had already won a previous edition of this Cup One. They had won the Cup One and under the banner
yeah,
of
yeah,
Grey Fox. And
yep.
MLT were also really strong. You had three strong teams right before, of course, MLT kind of broke apart and stuff happened. But when you came in, what did you think of those three teams that were considered to be the favorites?
I mean, I watched a bit of their games and I didn't really think that much of them. I thought like they're okay. They have some decent stuff, but
Yeah.
they're not really too advanced to like a point where you can't really catch up to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not like there's anyone that's dominant. I felt like everyone was kind of like on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
There was maybe a few teams which were a little bit worse, and there was a few teams that were a little bit above, but the gap wasn't really that big. And I felt like, yeah, with like a little bit of time, then anyone could kind of beat anyone, to be honest.
Who's the one team that you thought like what? Okay, maybe this a little bit extra work needs to go in to beat these guys. Did you feel like on any team?
Mm,
True Rippers, maybe. Did you, like after seeing their performance in the group stages and even on the first two matches at LAN?
not particularly, to be honest. I felt like, again, they were just a little bit like it's weird to say, but a little bit scared in the way they're playing sometimes. Maybe it was just against like the way we were playing. I feel like they're trying to play too perfect
Hmm.
Valorant sometimes. Like you can't really play perfect Valorant. It doesn't really exist,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like you have to take risks sometimes. I think they lacked a little bit of that creativity. It felt
Yeah.
like, and yeah, like a little bit of like I don't know what you call it, just a bit of like spice, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah,
fair enough. That I think that's one thing because yeah, Churrippers do have this, very safe, want to play off of information all the time, kind of want to understand where
yeah.
exactly stuff is happening, and they move basis of that. But I think that's a great counter you guys had, especially when you started off on the icebox in the, I believe it was in the final where you no you banned sorry
And
in the
yeah,
upper final. you
Yeah, yeah,
guys didn't give them space to kind of breathe and take in information. That was one thing that I really noticed. That was very good about your team. Like, you had, I think, 2 rounds where you pushed up as a trio in mid, which was a really
mm,
good movement. You were poking B, you were poking A. You were giving them information. You were voluntarily giving them information, but it was almost like it was suffocating information.
yeah,
And that kind of played in really well into your players' hands as well, because the confidence started rising. Even though Rossi was not playing well, Sultan and Dos practically took over that game, and they were really amazing. So, Fields, now coming to what is at hand. You won the trophy. First of all, let's come to that. What was that like? A 3-0 in the final would have been a very proud moment for you as well.
yeah. I mean, it started off a little bit shaky on the bind. Like we were a little bit like nervous, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
going into that to begin with. And it was like our map pick. They never played that map. They always ban it.
Yeah,
So it's like we should be winning this, and we were down like 6-0 or something like that,
yeah.
or
7-1.
5-0,
You were.
7-1,
Yeah,
yeah. And then it like kind of just all switched around when Rossi got that operator clutch. Like when he had that no scope at the end, he got like the 1v3 clutch.
yeah.
Then the momentum kind of just went into our favor, and from there we kind of just like bounced back in that map.
Mm,
Um, yeah, about that game, like it really was like momentum. I felt like there was so much momentum we carried through,
yeah.
especially from that sunset, just like rolling over them, and that was like really nice. I mean, it's my first LAN as well,
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't have them in Europe that much. Like they don't do LANs. It feels like.
What was
Um,
that like? What was that feeling being on your first line?
yeah, it was actually insane. Like the stage was really nice, and I mean, winning it makes it feel better as well, obviously. Um, but yeah, like it
Did
was
you
actually
expect
really.
a 3-0 while you were going in?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Like with the how the veto went, I think it went like perfectly.
Yeah.
I thought from the day before
Mm-hmm.
they were they just lost that sunset,
Yeah.
and I was saying like, oh, please let them just dominate this sunset so they feel like confident to pick it.
Yeah.
But they ended up losing it, but they still picked it as second map,
Yeah.
which was like I thought they wouldn't pick it,
They were
but they
10
did.
to up in their kind of, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah. They were dominating at the start, and I was hoping they would just keep dominate, like win 13-2 or something, and then feel like they don't need to change anything. But they did change, and I mean it's fine. But
Didn't
yeah,
really
that I
matter.
didn't change. Yeah, I was thinking they were gonna pick Haven instead,
Mm-hmm.
but they ended up picking the Sunset. And then we had the same thing on Ascent, where we just changed the comp a little bit
Yeah.
and caught them off guard. But yeah, like the veto really went in our favor. Like having the two bans just gave us like full control kind of over the game.
Yeah. Now that you have taken in, the regional victory, of course, and this was going to be a big step, there is, a looming cloud over everybody's head, for that matter, who was going to go to Ascension, right? That
Yeah,
South Asia, for the last 3 years, there's been a bit of an international drought. We've not been able to find or even clinch a proper victory in, when it comes to APAC. Now, whenever we qualify, it's not been great. Even last year when OG went, they were absolutely dominant here. They beat every team. They went unbeaten across the entire stage. And when they went there, they got 0-4. It was not a
yeah,
bad 0-4 where didn't win a single game, but they were losing all the games that they played. And now people are expecting you guys or whoever it was that was going to go through to at least look at a minimum top four finish, because they expect a lot more now, because they feel like the competition in South Asia has risen and the APAC region is probably not going to expect it, right? So, you
yeah.
as the coach of the team that's going to be heading there, what do you think is going to be your, like what are you going to do at Ascension? What can we expect from Revenant Esports at Ascension?
For us, it's like I'd say we're only at like 40-50% of what we're capable of. Like literally had like 2 weeks before the season, let's say,
Yeah,
or even maybe less time to sort everything out. Then it was just officials, 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 and then little gap again. But it really wasn't much time at all to get everything in. So we haven't really even hit close to our peak yet. And it's really like good that we have 2 months now to actually just practice.
yeah,
So it's gonna be like again a lot of like innovating and bringing some new stuff. I want to just like try and catch some people off guard again with some different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have even like multiple comps on some maps, so we can have like choice. We have the time to do it and the luxury to like make that possible. So that's like a goal which I want to have, like maybe 2 comps
Yeah.
on each map
Mm-hmm.
that we can play comfortably. Um, and yeah, I think like I heard that before, like about the South Asia being a weaker region. But I think, like you said, the competition has gotten a lot better here,
Yeah.
and I think the 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 ping issues and stuff like that, like it is affecting of the players as well during the practices. And whenever we scrim against like these other APAC teams, it doesn't really feel like they're doing anything special.
Mm.
It feels like they're easy to read from my point of view anyway. And you just kind of have to be aware of like anything, any crazy stuff that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think it's like out of the question to even win it. To be honest, like we can even like go all the way. That's like the main goal, to be honest. And I think
Do
like
you
it's possible with the competition that's there.
have you watched any of the APAC teams so far? Like, have you seen who could be your competitors?
That's my job for the next week that we got off now. I'm gonna be like studying them more
Okay.
closely, the top teams. But I know a few. I know the like Thailand region is
Full
probably like the
sense.
strongest one.
Yeah.
Full Sense and made in Thailand, yeah. And then like Boomy Esports and
Scars from Japan.
Scars, yeah, or Riddle. Like there's a few like decent teams, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, like the same as I said about this region, I feel like no one's really that far ahead. It's all like kind of close, all
Mm-hmm.
close competition. I mean, everyone that's gone there would have to won,
Yeah.
so they'll have a bit more momentum maybe
Mm.
because they won more recently.
Yeah.
But we have more like preparation time, and I think that's gonna be like where we can come in better than everyone, like the preparation side of things.
Yeah. That I think is a really good thing as well. And now that you're going into Ascension with as much time as possible, people, of course, are going to expect a lot out of you. So, as we end this little session of ours, would you like to tell anything to your fans, supporters, or even people who are just going to be watching you at Ascension? What would you like to tell them?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the support. I've never really had any like supporters before, so it's like it's weird to me. In all the organizations before, like no one really cared,
Hmm.
like fan wise. So this is like my first experience of like actually having some fans supporting us,
Yeah.
and now maybe with the whole of like the Indian region supporting this team as well. Yeah, it would be insane. I think like just keep supporting us, keep giving everyone like positive vibes, and yeah, we're gonna just do everything we can.
Yeah.
You'll see some special things as well. I think again in Ascension, hopefully.
We're all looking forward to that. But they, like, before we go, the audience did actually say a couple of things, like, when it came to particularly you, the reason why they said that Revenant won against True Rippers and basically this entire cup unbeaten was split unbeaten was because they said there was a coach diff. Do you feel that's true?
I don't know. That's flattering. I mean, you can't see exactly what's going on, but I mean the players deserve a lot of credit as well. It's not always easy to understand kind of
A different
what I'm
POV.
trying to say, yeah, and the European point of view, I guess, a bit more, and just the regions clashing a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the players deserve a lot of credit as well. Like they're the ones putting it on the server. I'm just telling them kind of what to do. They're the ones putting it into action. But yeah,
Fair enough. Well, the words in action that have been portrayed by these players have been a pretty beautiful picture now. It's a trophy that's been kept in
yeah,
your cabinet. So that's a fair enough compensation for the fact that you've got a coach diff and a team that's already come in with a great amount of synergy, at least in terms of how they want to play. And with the new and fresh ideas, we're hoping that you guys can go a lot further because I know I'm going to be cheering as loudly as I can for you guys. And now, speaking to you, understanding, what you have brought into this team, it makes me feel a little bit more confident. You know what? That we've got things to look forward to. So thank you so much.
thank you,
Feel this has been a great interview. I'm genuinely looking forward to you guys playing some great Valorant in Japan, and all the best.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.